Hello, everyone. This is a Raw Deal podcast. It was supposed to happen on like Thursday, but some conflicts happened. And anyway, yeah. So
We're here now.
Tomorrow is a holiday for a lot of schools. And as many of you know, I am a middle school teacher. So I don't have school tomorrow, so I can actually stay up and do this podcast. A 9 p.m. kickoff. My bedtime is normally, an hour from now, but I can stay up tonight. Also, today was a great day of football. Charlie was gonna go to bed, not go to bed, but Charlie he told me that he wasn't even planning on watching the Saints and Vikings game. Charlie, are you glad you watched it?
I would say yes on that one. It was good. It was a good time. Buffalo Wild Wings. It just one of those nights you remember.
Yeah, we
will remember where you were when this happened, kind of deal.
We will know where we were when Case Keenum cemented his spot in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was. I don't know about that, but I mean, we'll know. Look, I like to look at it like this. There's been 3 plays in the last. I'm going to say it's been 1 per season, basically. You had Aaron Rodgers with the 6 seconds left on the clock, buzzer beater. From Rodgers to Rodgers. That was amazing. Then you had Matthew Stafford, who I can't remember who he hit. I have to imagine it was his giant tight end at the time, for another ridiculous play as a revenge play. And then now you have Stephon Diggs, who, as I said before we started this, needs a $100 million contract or more next year, or I will be upset. I know that's ridiculous, and no one's going to do it, but if Andrew Luck can get that kind of money, then I think this guy deserves it.
So, Garrett, if you had to rank the 4 quarterbacks still left in the playoffs, how would you rank them? And as a reminder, the last 4 quarterbacks remaining are
Brady, Bortles,
Case Keenum, Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, and Tom Brady.
Okay, Tom Brady at number 1. With then after tonight, probably at number 3, I have Case Keenum. At number 2, I guess. Who did I miss? The other really well-known one. I'm blanking. Bortles at number 2. Sorry, Bortles. I did a really good job today too. And then that leaves Foles at 4. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good lineup.
I say you got to have Brady 1, Keenum 2. Keenum's played well all year.
Yeah, I almost gave it to him, but I put him at 3 because I was like, you know what? He might choke in the championship. You never know.
The thing that worries me as a Patriots fan is the Patriots easily have the worst defense by far. That's the one defense where you look at all 4 teams left between Eagles, Vikings, Jaguars, and Patriots. 3 of those 4 teams are known for their defense, and one of them is known for not even their offense. They're just known for Tom Brady. Yeah. It's really like what the Patriots have is Tom Brady and like his minions. And I don't know. It just I know that no one will ever see the Patriots as an underdog, but as far as pure talent on the field, the Patriots are outmatched by all 3 of these teams, and it really worries me.
I don't know if I'd say they're the underdog, but I'd say that they're definitely in trouble right now because after watching a phenomenal defensive team like
Jacksonville.
Well, yeah, them picking apart the phenomenal offense that also goes with the defense of Pittsburgh with guys like Antonio Brown hitting insane like 50-yard touchdowns in the game. And they're outscoring them too. I mean, I think that means they could stand with. I don't know if they're going to outscore Tom Brady, but they might outdefend him. I don't know.
Absolutely. And Tom Brady hasn't been the most consistent quarterback over the past, 6 weeks or so. I apologize for those that have enjoyed the NFL podcasts. I've been really busy sending kids to All-State and going to the conference stuff. I was in Tampa all weekend, so I'm back. I'm good now. But it's a weird, it's a very tough little bit of stretch for me. Anyway, we had Raw. I can't even really say this week because Raw's on tomorrow night. We had Raw last week, highlighted by the return of The Miz. That was the one thing. We knew we were going to see The Miz. We knew we were going to see Brock Lesnar. So those are the 2 things. It's like, all right, cool. So to kick off the show, we got Roman Reigns coming out talking about how he beat Samoa Joe the previous week. He's interrupted by Jason Jordan, and Seth Rollins kind of follows him down. And he's like, what are you doing? Jason Jordan comes out, and he's like, dude, Roman, you, me, Seth, we're like the best 3 you could possibly get. We're better than the Shield. We're like Shield 2.0. And Rollins and Reigns are both like, go away, please. and so and what did he call him? He called him like the gold team,
Champions Club instead of Balor.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Champions
He
Club.
called them the Champions Club, which set up Finn Balor coming out and interrupting. So Balor comes out with the club, with the newly named Balor Club, even though it's been a thing for a while. So I mean, Balor Club meant like the fans of Finn Balor, right? So Garrett, is this just insinuating that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are just fans of Finn Balor now?
I think they're definitely big brother fans of the good brother himself, the original Balor brother. But I mean, you know, I think it still means the same thing. I think you could make the joke. I hope they do make the joke that we're just the biggest fans of Finn. We're his number one fans. You know, we've been following him since he was Fergal over in Japan. They're obviously not going to call him that, but you know, like
they name drop Fale and Tama.
Yeah, they name drop like three people from New Japan, I think.
And it's funny because it's obvious they've been told to not mention Japan, but they keep saying out east. They keep saying when we were east. It's like, come on, dude. Which, I mean, if you look at a map, right, wouldn't Japan be west? Because, I mean, the Earth is flat, right, Charlie?
Yes.
They fly west to go to it, so they must just be going around the edge, right? And it's like, is there like two sides, or is it one continuous?
Right, so I'm saying when they say that they went east, that's actually incorrect.
Oh no, they just went they went in a circle for a while or something, and then they landed, right? Yeah. That's how it works. Space. We went to space. You go to space for a second. It's all cool. I've been in a plane. We were in space.
I think planes are all a lie. We don't actually.
No. The windows are painted. The windows are painted.
Right, they're painted, and you're actually just sitting in a machine that shakes.
Actually, better yet, Brady, they've upgraded to LCD displays since the 1920s.
Right. Oh, Jesus. All right. Charlie, we talked about how the Balor Club, all three of these guys, is the best thing that we can you could possibly do with these.
Yeah, if you look at what they were doing a month ago to even this Raw, I mean, it's
and I gotta ask though, Charlie, when Kurt Angle comes out and decides to make this 6-man tag match between Shield and Balor Club, he's like, "This gives me a great idea for a main event." Why is Kurt Angle just planning main events as a general manager? Like,
yeah, I actually want to talk about this a little bit, man. As of right now, what is Mick Foley adding more than, what is Kurt Angle adding more than Mick Foley did? Nothing, man. He's adding nothing to the show. Shane and Daniel Bryan, I mean, whether you like general manager storylines or not, I mean, they feel like they're a part of SmackDown. You know?
It's true. It's damn true.
Kurt Angle, what is he different than for Mick Foley was?
Balder.
No, I mean, it's not something that you see on a week-to-week basis, but I'll tell you what Kurt Angle has that Mick Foley didn't, is the mystique of he could always wrestle. And it would be a marquee matchup. See, Mick Foley, people, he could have done like a Mr. Sacco kind of thing. But Kurt Angle, people are waiting for him to actually be in an angle. And I think that's why the Daniel Bryan storyline on SmackDown is so intriguing too, is because people know that Shane will wrestle, and people have been dying to see Daniel Bryan wrestle. So that adds to the storyline.
Do you think they'll bring back the unsanctioned match thing for that when they do finally decide, okay, we can cut the losses? Because there's nothing stopping. I don't think they're not regulated by any actual sports authority. So other than maybe like drug stuff, but I think they do that all internally anyway from my research I did for a paper. So, it's like they could get away with it easily. It's just, do they want the liability of this guy? He might just die in the ring or something, And then it's probably shocked them so much since the times that it has happened, in the past in their company and in others. There's been events where they had to, pan the cameras away, just cancel everything for a bit, like intermission, whatever. They don't want to deal with that. And I understand that from a business standpoint, but from like if the guy thinks he can do it, I mean, I'm not saying you should always just listen to the wrestlers, because obviously sometimes there's cases like Edge where they just need to stop and they know it, But in this situation, I think if all these doctors that he's had say he's good, and it's just the one opinion that they obviously take a little more seriously. But I just think that they need to look at it again, and if he's good, he's good. If he's not, then they can say no. I mean, it's their company, but I mean, if you're trying to make money and the ratings are slipping,
we'll see him at All In on September 1st. If they don't,
yeah, I don't know. What is the deal with this mixed match challenge thing? By the way, I've seen a whole bunch about it, and I have no idea. It's going to be right after SmackDown this week or something, or next week.
Facebook Live, and
it's a Facebook exclusive event.
These events are propping up across multiple different content creators. I assume Facebook's just trying to make money. I don't know, but yeah, these premium.
I give props to Facebook recently, man. They just lost $28 billion in shares because Mark Zuckerberg came out and said that he wants less politics and less ads on Facebook. He wants it to be more of a personal thing again.
I heard about that. Yeah,
I'm like, dude, you're willing to risk $28 billion? Good for you.
Oh, completely. Because the guy obviously likes a lot of money. You know, that's why he stole the idea in the first place, you know, or whatever.
Why do we live? We live to trade paper until we die.
Exactly.
So anyway, that set up the main event for the night with the 6-man tag, Shield 2.0-ish against Balor Club. Next thing we saw was Absolution versus Banks and Bailey, and obviously we don't even want to touch on this match until we mention the fact, let's talk a little bit of Paige. So the WWE doctors have notified Paige, who got injured about 3 weeks ago in I don't know if it was a dark match or a live event, but it was not a televised match against Sasha Banks and Bailey in a tag match. And Sasha Banks went for a kick in the back, which was obviously planned because Paige was selling for it. Basically, the doctors have told Paige that the results are not good, and because of a bunch of factors dealing with her scoliosis and former neck issues and stuff, that it is highly, highly unlikely that she'll be cleared to ever wrestle again in the WWE. So this kind of throws a bit of a wrench into plans, but also, like, it sucks for Paige. She's only, 25, I think. So she's super young, first NXT women's champion. She'll definitely be in the Hall of Fame. People that think that she isn't are stupid. Sunny's in the Hall of Fame. Give me a break. Definitely a groundbreaker. It's a shame because, you know, she had the success story. She's got a movie coming out about herself, which The Rock is in, like, in about a year, in 2019. And the movie apparently is supposed to end with her triumph and returning back to WWE. I don't know if they're going to add this part, kind of scratch the movie. Who knows? But I'll give my 2 cents on it first, and then I'll throw it to Garrett. So pepper your thoughts. I think, personally, Sasha gets a little bit too much of the blame for this. I know it's just like Rollins. Rollins has gotten the raw deal as, and no pun intended, the raw deal on injuring people, whereas, like, Sting came out and said that was totally my fault. You know, I think in that particular spot, if you know how wrestling goes, usually Paige is the one calling that move for Sasha to do. If you watch the video, Paige shoves Sasha into the corner and then turns around to taunt the crowd and then stands there while Sasha kicks her in the back. And there's no way to really prepare for that except for after when you get hit, if you want to sell correctly. I don't know why that move would be called, knowing the history and knowing that Paige just kind of came back in. No warm-up matches. She just kind of came back in and had a big match right off the bat. That being said, she's dealt with injuries for a long time. I think she worked way too hard, way too young. She was wrestling, I believe, at like age 13 for her family's promotion over in England. So, I mean, when you're working, there need to be rules with wrestling, in my opinion, worldwide rules regarding how young you can work. I think that it should be just like any other job. I think if you're 17 with a worker's permit, you should be permitted to wrestle, because then your body is at least close to fully developed. Because when you're wrestling at age 13 and you're bumping at age 13 before your spinal cord is even done developing, that's what's going to happen. And she kind of just was a step back in everything. So, I mean, thoughts to her, but please don't be a dick on Twitter and start tweeting at Sasha. I'm sure she feels bad enough. Garrett.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo a lot of the same things that you just said. I mean, it's like, you hate to hear about stuff like this, but as wrestling fans, if you're a deep wrestling fan, obviously, if you're watching the show, you're really into wrestling. And it's really sad to see someone in their prime like that. I did look it up. You did have the exactly on the dot. 25 years old, been wrestling for 12 years already. I just feel like when situations like this arise, the only thing you could say is, we got to appreciate what we did have from this great performer, because I'm not thinking off the top of my head. There were so many memorable matches because I didn't get back into WWE until she was already sort of back on the toward the end of her main run. I only saw her sort of little comeback run that she did before she left, and I appreciate what she did a lot more because I went back and I watched the initial stuff when she won the first initial. She's already going to be recorded in the NXT history books because she was the first champion, and she's had so many ups and downs, and she was on such a huge up, and granted, she didn't have the best storyline, but at least she was back and we knew where she was doing and how she was okay, because we heard so much stuff while she was away that her and Del Rio had issues, that she was having like issues with suicide around when those videos got released, and I hope that nothing worse happens to her because she deserves a lot better than what she's gotten so far, I think. And maybe she can work in some sort of backstage role, like maybe helping to train other female wrestlers. Obviously she can't bump anymore, at least not consistently. So, but maybe more in like a coaching way involved. I don't know. I do really want to get your thoughts on this, Charlie, though, because you always usually have something interesting to say when these kinds of things come up, because there's been a lot of this in the last couple of years with really important, really well-rounded wrestlers. So what do you think?
I mean, Sasha has a history of shooting on people in the ring. And I mean, the video, it looks like a shoot. And that's what is really bad about it, man. It's just like, my God. It just, I don't know. The spot should have never happened. And I mean, I agree with a lot of you guys. I'm not the kind of person that would send hate at someone for this. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all fun.
Do you think that in the future this sets a precedent that if, per se, we don't know for sure what happened either way, and I don't want to speculate, but does this set a precedent that if you're going to have a successful wrestling career, you have to start in your later teens, because otherwise you will end up in a situation like this where you have to retire in your 30s or 40s because you've been doing it for 17 years at 38 or something, or whatever. Yeah. Like, look at AJ Styles. How lucky is he that he's not out at this point? He could have gone out several times to injuries in his TNA career even before he ever ended up in a hard-hitting part of Japan. Then he comes in, and admittedly, he's really lucky because he got to come to the WWE when he did. I think it is the only reason why he's still going right now. If he had been, for the time that he's been in WWE, if he'd have stayed in Japan, I think he might be closer to done now than he will be in 5 years, because the guy is a machine, but he can't take, I think, and that's why I think he realized he couldn't keep bumping like he does in Japan, because he's going to go out there and do the best that he can. But, and it's just unfortunate to see stuff like this happen. You want to see everyone do well and prosper, but
absolutely.
Things like this happen. It's the wrestling business, and just like any other sport or athletic competition, you're going to have injuries, and sometimes it's going to end careers. We had career-ending injuries here in the NFL, for instance, for some phenomenal players, and it's just like, it happens, and there's nothing you can do.
I'd agree with 100%, man. It's a shame. It's sad. Paige is, when I was starting getting into wrestling a little bit, Paige was fairly new to the WWE. She hadn't been up there for a year yet. And I thought she was fucking excuse my language. I just thought she was awesome.
We're allowed 3, bro. You can go ahead.
I'm just, it's,
No, I agree.
With the history, here's what I'll say. With the history of Sasha shooting on people in the ring and how ugly this looked, and you know, it's just.
Does Sasha have a history of shooting on people though?
She just did with Alexa. And it was like, you know, I don't know. You could look a little more into it. I mean, it's a situation where it's just, I wish it never happened. Because my God, it feels like we kind of need Paige. I mean, I don't know. It's like, so she was one of my first favorite women when I started getting into it too, you know? And
right.
Wish this was a different outcome for her career.
I mean,
now all she's. I mean, realistically, all she's ever going to be known is the girl that the porn.
Well, no, I don't think so.
I hope not, because she had some really good matches in NXT, and she was. I think the first NXT Women's Champion will be her thing.
And I really hope. I hope it's not. She's just not known for that.
No, she'll always be known as the person that came up her first night on Raw and beat AJ Lee for the title after she had held it for.
That is true. I remember watching that and being like, "Oh my God!"
That's going to be her moment. That's what she's going to be known for. Just to go back, talking really quick about the other sports and stuff, and the age that people can start wrestling at and playing sports at. I think the issue is that if you look at let's use the NFL as an example. A lot of people watch the NFL. The stars, the people that you see as the faces of the NFL have become younger and younger and younger over the years. Like, yeah, you still have like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and stuff at quarterback. But if you look at who the top wide receivers are and stuff, you don't see a lot of 35-year-old wide receivers and stuff like that. The superstars of the league right now are 22, 23, 24 years old. These guys that are, because they're built bigger, younger, faster, stronger, everything. And they get started at such a young age because all of a sudden you look, the people right now that are coming into Alabama, for example, that are 19 years old right now, 19 years ago in 1999, people started seeing the money in football, and these parents started pressing these kids. You have to be the best, and we have to push you from a super young age. And they realized where the money was. Paige's family was always into the wrestling business. They always wanted her to be the best. So she got started so early because they thought that would give her a leg up, which actually led to her demise years and years later because of all the injuries she had accumulated before fully developed. All right. Moving on. We had Woken Matt Hardy versus Kurt Hawkins. I think Matt won. I don't even remember. But pretty much we just got the same thing we've been getting with Matt and Bray Wyatt laughing at each other for about 2 minutes. And then that was the end of the segment. Charlie, do you think they can continue laughing at each other all the way to Mania, or is this going to get stale?
Honestly, I think they're going to be able to keep doing like really crazy stuff. With it, in the sense of just keep elevating it. I have faith that they will keep doing weird and funky stuff.
So you think it's just kind of like a slow start for them right now? They're just kind of testing the waters, and then they're kind of in the planning for like some crazy stuff.
I love that every one of these segments ends with that broken Mac graphic, where it's like shattered screen. It says like broken on it or something, and it's like a little 2-second graphic, but it adds so much to the end of every segment because that's how it's going to end. And it's all suddenly. It could be in the middle of what's going on, and it's like, and it's like gone. And it's like, oh wow, that was a thing. It's memorable, and I like that they're just going like balls to the wall with it. Just letting them go. It's the smartest thing for it. Right. And I think this will help Bray Wyatt in the future because if they just let him go, yeah, it's gonna get weird like when they let him go with Randy, but it's gonna be good some of the time, and it's more interesting anyway.
Randy! What do you think of the song?
I didn't see it. Garrett?
Oh, the song, the new song that they debuted during this match. Yeah, I love it. I think it's it's not like anything like when he would just come out to the piano in TNA, but I think it fits the character. It's a little all over the place, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, at least to a point. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
The Miz was back. I think we can agree. It's nice to see the Miz back. Came back, talked about how he won Rolling Stone Wrestler, the Superstar of the Year. Well deserved. The person who really stole the show though you can say it's surprising or not, Bo Dallas dropped the best line of 2018 so far. I know it's an early year.
What was? I don't remember.
The Miz was sitting there, and Bo Dallas was like, I'm so glad to have you back. I got you something. And it was...
Oh, my God, that's right.
And it was it a picture of the Miz?
Yeah, I think it was a signed picture of the Miz or something.
That's right. It was a signed picture of the Miz that he gave to the Miz. And the Miz was like, I don't know why you're giving this to me. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough sleeping without this tonight. And then, which then proceeds to what's his face? Axel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Axel going and taking off his jacket. He's like, yeah, well, I got you this jacket. And
their sport coat.
But Dallas like, well, I got you this watch. And the Miz had to break it up, so they're fighting for the affection of the Miz. The fans were happy to see the Miz. He got a lot of welcome back chants and stuff like that. But basically, the Miz was sticking it to Roman Reigns. This is the first time in literally years where I firmly believe that someone wants the Intercontinental or US or tag title, whatever it is, more than the main title. The Miz absolutely wants the Intercontinental Championship because that is his title. He wants to be known, he wants that to be known as his title. He wants to bring that to glory, and he wants to hold it as long as possible. And he guaranteed that 2018 he was going to become, he was going to start the longest reign of any Intercontinental Champion ever. Charlie, does he do it?
I'm down. I'm down if he does. I mean, hell, man. If there was one guy I was putting the company on back, it'd be the Miz. He is just, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right words here.
Yeah, I just
where you just want, charisma and everything else in between.
Well, and he cares about it. It's not a stepping stone. Like right now, Garrett, if Roman Reigns wasn't out there holding the Intercontinental title and you were just listening to Raw, would you have even known that Roman Reigns was the Intercontinental title champion tonight?
If I didn't watch the opening segment, no, I would be like, oh, it's just got to be on somebody who really, really difficult to beat. If he wants it this badly back, someone that must really hate him, or he must really hate because he took his title, which is true because I do think he really does hate Roman Reigns for taking that title. I think the Miz is how you sell the show. I think if you build an entire show around the Miz, like if he's the top guy on your show, which arguably, other than like AJ and Randy and all them at the top, the Miz was like one of the top guys on SmackDown, if not the third. I would argue he was the third guy down from the top 90% of the time he was on SmackDown. And that show felt real sometimes. Obviously, wrestling's fake, but we could desensitize ourselves enough in to say, because for how many months were we saying SmackDown was a better show? And then it shifted suddenly when something changed. We weren't sure what it was. I'm theorizing now.
Road Dogg isn't writing the show anymore. Road Dogg's not writing SmackDown anymore. That's the rumor.
That could be that. It could be that. It could be that the people are the same writers. I know that they changed writing staffs a while back. I remember we talked about that. They changed some of the writing staff around, so it could be that. It could be.
Ryan Ward was writing SmackDown in 2016.
So, things have changed, and that just means that the average that we get on Raw is going to outweigh the average that we get on SmackDown because we have to sit through a 2-hour show versus a 3-hour show, and we're more engaged with the 2-hour one because we know stuff's going to be going by quicker because we know we don't have an hour to fill, So I do think, and this is my theory now, that the reason why SmackDown is slumped in terms of storylines, though, is mostly because The Miz was so all-encompassing, because the Intercontinental title always felt like more on SmackDown to me, and it still kind of feels the same now. Not so much so, though. I think when it was then, it felt like it was the most important thing, even though clearly they build that Universal title up like nobody's business.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I got you. All right. So after The Miz came back, also, do you think that they're gonna keep Elias with the Miz, because Elias has kind of inherited the Miz Taraj? Do you guys think that they're gonna play an angle at some point, maybe the Miz turning face and him being in a program with Elias? Is that the way you guys would go with it?
That'd be cool if they want to go that route with the Miz, but I don't. Miz face turn would be.
I leave that on the back burner if I need a backup plan for the Miz. I think he works best as a heel right now, though. I legitimately do. I think.
Well, I'm saying, do you think that they keep Elias with him, or do you think they just don't even mention Elias with the Miz Taraj ever again?
I mean, they could keep him with him as long as it doesn't get stale, which it's already kind of starting to. So, I mean, it's just how much they want to stretch some of this stuff, because it works, and then it works, and then it doesn't, and you're like, well, that was pointless, and we're never doing anything like that again, you know? So they just need to accept that things work sometimes, and that there are short-term gimmicks that will work. The list of Jericho, dude, if he brings that list back out, I'm still gonna be like, oh, it's the list. But at this point, I've already forgotten about the list if I'm a general fan. You know what I mean? It's been gone so long. I mean,
I totally forgot Big Cass was even a thing until a couple days ago, and someone mentioned him in another podcast I was listening to, and that was only a couple months ago. You know, it's weird.
Yep.
Cedric Alexander and Enzo Amore had a championship match. A lot of people thought that maybe they just give it to Cedric here, so it was kind of nice going into it because you weren't really sure which way it was going to go. So that always makes you want to watch.
Mix it, yeah.
So Enzo gets out to the early offense. Enzo's offense is just not pretty looking at all, which most people come to expect with the Cruiserweight division. So that's why a lot of people think like, oh, his offense is just boring. I mean, it's a lot of headlocks and punches and stuff like that. Cedric Alexander is more of your stereotypical Cruiserweight. But anyway, Enzo ends up on the outside at one point. Cedric goes to do a dive over the top. Enzo is 100% the best seller. I am including AJ Styles in this. He is the best seller in the WWE because he literally fooled so many people on Twitter when he made it look like he twisted his ankle. And I guarantee one of you guys must have been like, "Oh my God, is he actually hurt?"
I was kind of worried about the head. That head cut.
And he got split open.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet they weren't happy that he didn't let the doctors, because I'm sure they wanted to come in with the towels, you know.
Mm-hmm. So another thing to mention about, actually, I'll talk about it after the match. So anyway, Cedric ends up winning the match, but Alexander did not win the championship. Was it count out? It says here he wins via pinfall, but Amore retains the title. I'm pretty positive it was a count out. Enzo couldn't get back into the ring because he, hurt his ankle. So anyway, they made Cedric look really stupid in this when he was announced as the winner, and he's jumping around, playing to the crowd like, "Yeah, I won! Woo!" Don't play him like an idiot. I can't root for an idiot. He knows that he's not the champion if he wins via countout. Don't make it seem like he's ecstatic about winning, because he wouldn't be. That match means nothing if he doesn't win the title. That's the whole point.
I want more faces to just assault the guy that gets himself disqualified or something after the match. I want that to happen. At some point, it needs to happen. You know what? That would have been a great way for Sammy to turn heel. Not the way he went wasn't great, but if you were going to have a different way of doing that, that would have been a great way. He gets on those heels like he gets into this weird feud where a particular referee just keeps screwing him, and then the guy gets disqualified, and the referee's like, "That wasn't my fault," and he's like, and he turns to the other guy and just socks him or something, I don't know. I love when they build in, one show storylines are so throwaway, but they so work. 1 or 2 show storylines. You don't need to have these large, overarching, 4-month-long, legacy storylines that most of the time you're investing a lot of money into, and then your return is very little,
Yeah. Charlie, I want to get your opinion on this. So, I know you're not the biggest Enzo fan, but you don't bash him or anything.
Yeah.
But the report was, so for those that don't know, Roman Reigns, who is kind of the leader of the locker room, that was Cena for a long time, but since Cena hasn't been there, Roman Reigns is kind of the leader of the locker room right now, backstage, and he kind of banned Enzo from the locker room because of various shenanigans. So Enzo hasn't really been in the locker room around the boys as much. Enzo, when he had the flu, he was gonna show up and work that night when he first had it. And WWE had to forcibly send him to go get checked into the hospital. He was going to still work and wrestle his match. Do you think that gives him enough, because people just kind of see him as like a lazy, kind of arrogant guy. Do you think that's enough to get in the good graces and be back in the locker room with the boys?
I 100%. It shows he's committed, man. I really think he's embracing his new role as Cruiserweight.
I agree. He's doing just what Neville did, in a way different way, but he doesn't seem to see it as a demotion.
No.
So,
I mean, for him, what singles career did he have otherwise than managing people or being the guy that got beat by all the time? Like, we were worried about what we were going to do with him, and this was the assumption this is where he was going to end up. We didn't know if it was going to work, but we knew he might end up there because his size doesn't really fit anywhere else on the card unless you throw him in a random tag team again. We thought maybe the Big Show, maybe that was the plan. I don't know. Maybe that was Big Show's big last hurrah was going to be a Big Show and Enzo Amore, but we don't know because the plans got scrapped, things changed. I have no idea what they're going to do with Cass.
They could have been Big Zo.
Hey.
Big Zo. Hey, could have been.
Big Zo. Hey, man, anyone watching, feel free to type along in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a question for us? You want to say something? Charlie's got you.
Because I swooped you earlier with the Go Jags and we were talking football. Of course. Jags are awesome, man.
I love the Jaguars, man. As a Patriots fan, there's literally I'm hyped for the Super Bowl no matter what. Like, literally, it can be any combination. If Patriots are in it, I'm rooting for them no matter what. If they can't and it's Eagles-Jaguars, I'm rooting for the Eagles. If it's Jags-Vikings, rooting for the Jags. So I guess the only team I'm not rooting for is the Vikings. But even if it was Vikings and Jaguars and the Vikings won, or Vikings-Patriots and the Vikings won, that would
can't be mad about that.
You can't be mad about that. I mean, if it's Eagles and Patriots and the Eagles win, I'll never hear the end of it from Rick.
I mean, it'd be 1-1 then.
That's true. That's true.
We good.
But I'm not one to rub a victory in someone's face. I could go on Twitter and bash Titans fans all day, but I don't. Rick will let me know, bro. Rick will be sharing memes all night. I can't
talk because my team didn't even make the hunt this year, I don't think.
Hey, but it's all right because Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator of the Patriots, he says he's eyeballing the Colts job.
Yeah. It's down to him and some other guy, some other defensive coach or something from
Not McDaniels. He's a beast. All right. The bar. They are unofficially the number one contenders for the tag championships. So they have their rematch against Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan set for the Royal Rumble. So it's announced that they're going to be in a match against Titus Brand, Apollo Crews, and Titus O'Neil. All right, fine, whatever. They need something to do till the Royal Rumble. Well, Apollo Crews gets the pin clean. What is going on, Garrett?
A huge reaction to that.
Garrett, what is going on?
I don't think anything's going on here, Brady. I think this is just downright. They realize what they have in the Titus Brand and that it is actually kind of working and that they may have found what they were looking for Apollo Crews for the last year, or however long he's been in the company, when he came out on SmackDown initially, they should have just given him a push. They could have done something with him, maybe given him some character. They didn't. They shifted him to Raw. They put him with Titus for a while. I think it's really working with Dana Brooke. I think they know that now. I think that was the missing piece, was they needed a third member, and they have it now. So yeah, I think
you guys see Dana Brooke's victory on the WWE Network?
No. What was it?
He won a match on, what is it, Superstars?
Oh, dude. More power to her, dude.
she won a match. So you know how when someone like gets a 2 count and like the person kicks out and they give the referee like, what? That's 2? No, that's 3. Come on. She literally like gave the same reaction about winning. She was like, what? What? I won?
Well,
Surely is Dana Brooke the X Factor?
Dude, I've always kind of liked Dana Brooke, and I'm glad that they're doing something different with her.
I like her when she doesn't talk.
She does have a little annoying voice, but I'm not going to deny that.
But I mean, do you agree with the decision, Charlie, or
This is the way to go, man. The bar, it's to me, and I've kind of felt like this for a little bit.
Here we go. Sheamus
ran its course. It's done. I'm over it. They got it. It hasn't ran its course. Let me rephrase. I think it's time to change it up a little bit again with them. Does that make sense? It's time to I add a little something here and there. The New Day, I mean, they just added pancakes. And whatever else.
So Garrett.
They don't set the bar, Charlie. They are the bar.
Garrett, does Dana Brooke need waffles?
Do you like waffles? Do you like pancakes?
Okay, let's
Do
be
you
honest.
Like French toast?
Hold on. Let's be honest right now. Waffles are far superior to pancakes. Can we
I disagree. Pancakes for life.
Oh my god. Will you please mute this kid, Charlie?
Pancake, yeah.
Dude, waffles hold your syrup. They hold them in the little holes, man, and then you get like a nice big glob of it. Unless you're one of those freaks that just puts butter on it and eats it.
Dude, I'm telling you, you don't know until you know.
No, whatever, bro. Braun Strowman has officially committed murder twice and gotten away with it both times. Actually, 3 times because he murdered 2 people in this segment. Brock Lesnar comes out. Paul Heyman cuts the same promo he's always cut.
I literally skipped this. Is that bad?
You skipped this?
No. I skipped the promo.
Oh. He came out and said, it's not fair. The Beast has he has 33% odds of walking away as champion, and WWE doesn't want him to be champion. He doesn't even have to get pinned to lose the title. It's the same thing they always do. So anyway, Brock Lesnar is jumping around in the ring like he always does. All of a sudden, Kane runs in. There's fire. He goes to beat up Lesnar. They start fighting up the ramp. They start fighting backstage. All of a sudden, you hear, Roar! Braun Strowman attacks both of them, picks up a road case that's like 5 feet tall. Those things are heavy, even if they're empty. Smacks Kane over the face with it, and then throws it at him. Kane's officially dead. Then he takes Brock Lesnar and chucks him against a wall. Lesnar falls through a table, and then another road case falls on his head. So now Lesnar's dead.
No, do you remember that they didn't go through the tables? They both fell through tables by just touching them.
That's right. And
then
so
they laid down like, oh, I'm so hurt from this table. My hands touched the table. I'm knocked out.
They're both dead at this
point in the game.
Yeah, and so then Strowman opens up a road case, which, keep in mind, it's meant for like lighting equipment and like mixers,
lighting and sound and cords and.
I'll tell you something you're not supposed to find in a road case: a goddamn grappling hook.
I can see that maybe they would use that to like doing the opposite of what he did, maybe. But like, why would it be in the case still? We had to put this away because we don't need it till the end of the show.
Right. So he picks up the grappling hook and pulls one of those.
I can't foresee a situation where I might need this hook that I use to put the thing up.
Hold on, let me do my best Braun Strowman here.
Hey, go ahead.
What the hell is going on?
And proceeds to throw the grappling. Okay, I think they taped this live. What if Braun Strowman was just awful at throwing the grappling hook and missed the
Dude, I'll hold on. I'll give credit to Rick here. He was something like, that's all that cast netting right there. And I was like,
oh my God.
Good point.
So,
that was a good one.
So Strowman throws the hook and pulls a light stanchion down, which, by the way,
the throw of the century.
Why is this? Shouldn't that be outside? Shouldn't that be in the arena? It's meant to hook lights up too. What is it doing back there? But who cares? It falls. I guess he commits murder 4 times because he had already killed the 2. So he commits a quadruple murder backstage. But, is what it is. And Braun Strowman yells and walks off. Charlie, this was perfect, right?
Oh, of course. Dude, this was awesome, man. I thought. Honestly, last week they had that fucking dude. Excuse me, man.
Dude.
We've been at Buffalo Wild Wings, and clearly my
Rick's bros are wearing off on you, man.
We were just loud at him, and it's you know how it is. But
we were shooting the fecal matter before the show.
I lost my train.
You were talking about Strowman and stuff. How this is perfect.
Oh, it revived from that terrible one last week. Remember that where they jumped early? Oh my God, that was terrible, man.
It's these moments that just makes him seem like a superhero movie villain. Like he put somebody, he survived an ambulance crash that should have killed a man. He survived, people have survived things that they shouldn't have survived from him. Chairs rained from the sky. I mean, he's literally a movie villain, but as a wrestling character. I mean, it's like at some point you got to give the guy some deeper motivations than just he's not finished with you. Because the Big Show didn't survive for years because of his size. It's not what kept him around because his size would not have made him last as long as he did. You got to do something more. I think, for now, fine, okay. I feel it right now. But in a couple of years, is this still going to work?
Sure.
I don't know.
He's got enough charisma, I believe, to make it work.
I'm waiting. I do this for the WWE Universe. That night after Mania, after he somehow wins the title. I do it for all of you.
Not as he somehow does, dude. As he steals it. He just steals the title. And no one's going to say, I'm going to go get my title back from Braun Strowman. We're not even going to send security. The only guy that even try would be Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Wasn't Braun just beat the title back?
Samoa Joe beat Rhino. Cool. Nia Jax attacks Asuka. Who cares? The Balor Club beat Shield 2.0. Yay. Grades for Raw. Charlie.
Honestly, I feel like I got to give it I'm going to give it an A. Honestly, I'm trying to think of a reason not to, and I can't. It's an A for me.
Garrett?
I'm going to give this the solid C that I always seem to give on this show.
That's fair.
It's his opinion, bro.
I just feel like this was an average episode of Raw. I don't know what. I mean, what majorly? Okay, but answer this: what majorly happened on the show other than we got the confirmation, the beginning, the what?
And something we always kind of talk about is did anything progress? They progressed just about every storyline that they have.
Right, but I would argue this should have been progressed a couple of weeks ago because we've had, 5 weeks? We have 5 weeks or 6 weeks of build-up for the Royal Rumble. I mean, and it's felt like we've just been getting less than average shows sometimes because they just didn't want to push anything forward. And I've always been an advocate to argue that they should always be pushing stuff forward, whether or not they need to let another storyline set catch up or – because these are independent shows of each other, and if they can't do that successfully, then they need to go back to doing taped SmackDowns because it's just too much for them in a week, obviously. So You know, I mean, and that's just my opinion. I will start giving the shows better ratings when I come out of a show and I'm not like, all right, time to go to bed. Like when I want to sit and think about it and be like, oh my gosh, that happened at the end of a show or even toward the middle of a show. If I'm not having those thoughts, then I'm not going to give it higher than a C.
That's fair.
I will give Raw a B+. That was a pretty good episode. I like the surprises with Titus Worldwide. I think Dana Brooks good for them. I like The Miz. I like the in-ring match at the very end. We all knew that Balor Club was going to win, obviously, because they're like a newly formed team, kind of. So we all knew, you know, I knew a lot of the outcomes, and then I didn't know what was going to happen in the Cruiserweight match, which was cool. And, yeah, so I'll give it a B+. That was a pretty good show. Going over to SmackDown. AJ Styles finally is not a face that's an idiot. He comes out and starts to show off, and he's like, you know what? I'll admit it. I was a little hot-headed, and when I was yelling, saying, you know, just make it a damn handicap match, I didn't think Daniel Bryan was actually going to do it. That's totally my fault, but, you know, is what it is. So, then Sami Zayn, what?
I was going to say, before you get into this, I have not seen SmackDown, but I will give my reviews based on what the action you guys give me. Does that make sense?
All right, sounds good. So AJ Styles pretty much comes out, and he's like, he's pretty much saying what he was saying going off air last week, which was, well, 2 weeks ago now, which was like, he just wants to have his matches. Like, he's sick of having Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon be the storyline. He wants to just be the champion and defend it. He ends up being interrupted. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They claim that no matter what happens, if either of them win the title, they will declare themselves
I like that.
co-champions, which has only happened. I mean, I can remember
there was a women's duo, I think, that did it.
I can remember Chris Jericho and Chyna sharing the Intercontinental Championship way back in the day.
There was two women that did it in the Diva era, I think, too. But
was it Layla and Michelle McCool?
Yeah, I think it was them, because it was like toward the end of Mickey's first run. I think I remember watching that.
So anyway, Shane McMahon came out and he said, well, since we like handicap matches, we're gonna do Owens and Zayn against Nakamura, Orton, and Styles. So Shane is, once again, he just wants to punish Owens and Zayn. So it's more of the same. But yeah, Shane McMahon's like, all right, 3-on-2 handicap match tonight. Woo! Wow. Garrett, what do you think of the opening segment?
Interesting.
I thought this was a good opening segment. I just think, like, you know, it's really funny. Like, if you had said to me like a couple weeks ago, this is how we're going to open an episode of SmackDown, I'd be like, okay, let's see where this goes. You know, but not having the context of all these weeks of him just trying to screw. It's like, yeah, I get it. He wants to screw them over, but we've seen him get directly involved. I just want to see AJ defend the title too. I don't need all of this mixed in there. I don't think. I think co-champions is a horrible idea. I think it's going to add a lot of confusion, because I think the thing I remember the most about Lay Cool was they always had to have a handicap match. So how are you going to – you got to build up one face a lot. And it would probably have to be AJ again, because who else has the momentum to even win that? And when they've defended the title against however many people, you know. I would love to see, though, what I would say would interest me is if AJ loses the belt to them, they say, okay, we're going to defend it in handicap matches. And then Daniel Bryan takes the side of them and then says, okay, we're not going to have you face AJ again because he'll probably win against both of you now that he's got a reason. We're going to just give you as many other matches as we can to avoid AJ and then build it up to maybe a Mania or maybe even the next big four after that, save for that or something. But, you know, but other than that, I mean, this segment was fine. I just think the storyline is muddled and confusing at best, and it's going to get even more confusing if they win. And how do you say we're just going to have AJ beat them both what's the point of even having them then? Why not just have them lose on an episode of SmackDown than to do it at the pay-per-view, you know? So,
yeah. Charlie, you seemed interested in the co-champion gimmick. I know you've never seen it. So is that something you'd be interested in at least seeing what they do with?
I mean, yeah, it would be interesting.
Agreed.
I definitely think it'd be.
What?
I think we're going off the assumption that they even have a chance in hell at winning. I was trying to think of my words there. I really don't think that they're going to win, but if they do, yeah. I mean, it would. I can't imagine that there's one.
Why introduce the idea of co-champions if you're not going to have co-champions? Why not just
show
say
how much of best friends they are and that they won't stab each other in the back?
But you didn't have Zayn, you didn't have Owens and Jericho as co-champions. They kind of hinted at it. They said, "Oh, we're both the champion." That's where he was defending that title, so he was not champion.
See,
and that was proven even further.
That stuff that happened before actually matters to WWE.
It doesn't, but I'm saying, like, if you're going to say this is all an interconnected, constantly going franchise, you got to acknowledge the past. And that's recent past. That's like, I don't know, 9-10 months ago or something they were doing that, or however long, like, and so on a different show, admittedly. So again, it doesn't matter, but it's like, I just wish they would think about this before they go headlong into it and just produce content rather than thinking it through and hoping that it makes sense when they put it out there, because it's a live show and you don't always have the luxury of being able to test what you're going to do before you go out there. Most of the time you don't, but it's confusing for the general audience. I'm
going to move on because we're going pretty long with the segment.
Sorry.
Becky Lynch faced Ruby Riott. Becky Lynch won and officially declares for the Royal Rumble, which means all of the SmackDown women have officially declared. We already did the math. We talked about it last week. They're going to need more than both of those together. I think with the Paige injury, it almost guarantees that the Bella Twins will end up on Raw. I don't know if they're going to go back or forth, whatever. I think they both end up on Raw, meaning John Cena probably ends up over on Raw if he decides to come back for an extended period of time. The Ascension faced the Bludgeon Brothers in one of the worst matches I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I was just about to say, that sounds pretty cool.
On paper, it sounds good.
Go ahead. What happened?
So the Ascension, so pretty much Bludgeon Brothers came out second. It was Ascension and Breezango came out with them, like they were going to be friends. And then the Bludgeon Brothers entered. Breezango ran away, and then Bludgeon Brothers won.
Wow.
Not really much else to put to it.
You probably need to be paying attention to the storyline on the WWE.com to really get why this matters. Other than what they've shown on TV, though, it works with it too. So, I don't know. It is what it is. I wish segments like this didn't have to exist, but they have their lowest tier tag team that they're trying to make up in the higher tiers. Just bring out Author's Pain at this point, so they can kill the Bludgeon Brothers and just make it all worth it, because this is masquerade for them. It really is, because it's the same kind of stuff they do. You know what I mean? Except they have giant hammers. Right?
Why not? Zack Ryder faced Mojo Rawley in what honestly should have been the main event of the show. This felt like. I'm not even being sarcastic.
I know. I'm just that sounds so absurd to say.
I know. They've been bumping it up. They've been pumping it up so much on social media. Mojo Rawley in particular has been doing such a good job. If you haven't seen Mojo Rawley's promos of him just taking video of himself in his car with his phone, please go watch those. They're fantastic.
Good.
I mean, the obvious thing happened. Mojo Rawley got the win. It looks like either Mojo or Jinder is going to win this tournament. But so that means we're down to what? 4, right? Mojo is going to face Glorious Bobby Roode, and then Jinder is going to face Xavier Woods. What a Final Four!
Yeah, dude. At this point, I'm almost rooting for Mojo Rawley.
I'm definitely rooting for
because of those promos. I mean, that's the biggest part for me.
Although Xavier Woods winning could lead to something cool.
I wouldn't mind seeing Mojo versus Xavier Woods, or even Bobby versus Xavier. I mean, I just don't want Jinder to be the one that wins.
I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't. I don't know why.
I think I can.
And
it's not that I don't mind seeing Jinder as champion. I just don't really like his matches, so I don't want to see him in the final.
Right. You'd rather him like
Jinder versus Mojo or Jinder versus Rude.
You'd rather him be like, I want a shot at this title and walk out and then be like, all right, Jinder's going for the title, you know?
I think that Rude versus Xavier Woods would be very interesting. I think that could be a really good match.
Mm-hmm. I think Bobby stepped it up since he came to the main roster in terms of in-ring ability.
And Bobby Roode should be a heel. If Bobby Roode heel turns and wins the title on Xavier Woods against New Day, it would be amazing.
Be good. It'd be good.
Speaking of Bobby Roode, he watched the match from ringside. He was on commentary and stuff like that. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin came out and basically talked about how they got robbed in their title match because of the referee's decision. We talked a lot about it on last week's episode. And then Daniel Bryan came out, and similar to the AJ thing last week, Gable and Benjamin were like, what do we got to do? Beat him 2 times in one night? And Daniel Bryan's like, what a good idea. You're going to face them at Royal Rumble in a best 2 out of 3 falls match.
Really?
He's like the laziest general manager ever. He just lets the wrestlers decide the matches.
I didn't hear this match even announced. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then they did it, and then they did the and then they did the same thing with Kurt Angle on Raw too. Miz came out and was like, I want to get my title rematch against Roman Reigns on the 21st anniversary of Raw. And Kurt Angle was like, you know what? That's a good idea. So yeah,
we don't need booking. My job doesn't exist. I don't actually do this.
Sure, it sounds good. So yeah, best 2 out of 3 falls match. As long as they don't just do it the same way they do every other 2 out of 3 falls match, where the heels, Gable and Benjamin, will get a pin in about 2 minutes, and then about 2 minutes later, the faces will get it, and then they'll fight for another 15 minutes and get the last. Hopefully they don't do that. I hope that there's like screwy. I hope like one ref comes in and blows a call, and then another ref comes in and blows the call the other way, and then both refs count the 3 for like each team at the same time.
Yeah, like they have 2 pinfalls going on at the same time. Yeah, and then it's like the last seconds. Dude, 2 out of 3 falls match benefit from each fall basically being a high spot. Not exactly, if you know what an actual high spot is. We've listened to a lot of people talk about it, but you know, like you have the benefit of making that a big moment, and that sort of it's the pacing of the match can be a couple minutes for the first, like 5-6 minutes for the next. Like you said, 15 minutes. You don't have to go 15 minutes. It could be like literally 5, 5, and 5, and you have a 15-minute match. And it's that's pretty solid, you know. And the winner is winner, and they went pretty long, you know. And these matches always feel longer when they have them. I feel like whether they're 15 minutes or an hour, you know, they always feel longer.
Yeah, another pretty funny part of this. So Gable and Benjamin are really doing really good mic work, and that's really good for Shelton Benjamin because he was known as being just no charisma at all during his first run. I can't remember which one was the one that delivered the line, but they were in Alabama the night after they won the college football championship, and they said, we got screwed by the refs just like Georgia did in the national championship game.
It was Benjamin. I remember that.
And it was there was an intense boo, and literally they had a roll tide, roll tide.
I think he's from Georgia too. I'm not even kidding. I think Shelton Benjamin's from Georgia. I'm not even kidding. We should look this up. I'm probably butchering something right now, but I'm fairly certain he's actually from Georgia, which would add to the line. He's from Minnesota. I was wrong. I'll admit it openly. Got it wrong. But did he go to Georgia? Maybe did he maybe wrestle there or something?
No, he went to the University of.
Oh, that's where he went. I was saying where he's from. Maybe, I don't know. He's probably from where he went, I imagine.
And I'm trying to look up. Chad Gable's from Minnesota, so he probably went to Minnesota too.
Okay, so maybe they knew each other.
Big wrestling school, so it makes sense.
Yeah, maybe he just wanted to say that. I don't know. It's probably what it does. He's like, oh, good line. You know?
Charlie, what do you think about Gable finally coming into his own as a heel? I mean, he kind of came off as cocky even as a face, right?
Yeah, he did a bit there, and Gable's good, man, and I'm glad that he's fully embracing the new role as a heel, because I wasn't sure I wasn't sure at all how it was going to work out, at all. I don't know. I like Gable. Rooting for him. If they win the tag titles, I'm not opposed to it.
So in
the moment that they fake won the titles, I was okay with it, honestly.
Yeah. In another upset, just when Rusev Day, Aiden English and Rusev were getting some steam, Breezango pins him clean. What do you know it? I'm a poet. So Breezango gets a win, but for me it was kind of bittersweet because it's like, oh, dude, I like both of these teams. I was kind of hoping Breezango would lose because it's like, Rusev and English were finally getting somewhere. This seemed like a kind of put them in their place.
It finally, yeah.
That's what it felt like. But Breezango got the win.
This was the first TV match in a while that was just thrown together. You could tell that wasn't really like thought through. That they were like, yeah, just have this match. That I was actually like, I'm actually really down for this match. This is actually a match I want to see because I like both teams. I like their in-ring work. Breezango's moved back toward more of their good in-ring style than their comedic in-ring style, which is enjoyable now a little more. But yeah, just keep up with this stuff, kind of, man. Like if it can keep interesting stuff like this in each episode, it'll work.
Mm-hmm. So then for the main event, as I said earlier, we had the handicap match: AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which was made by Shane McMahon. Pretty much so. They all come down. They start the match. Orton goes for an RKO pretty quickly. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn try to leave and get counted out. They get counted out. The referee rings the bell. They start announcing the team of three as the winners. Shane McMahon comes out, orders the match to be restarted as a Falls Count Anywhere match, so no countouts. So the match is restarted. They get back in the ring. Then Kevin Owens hit Orton with a steel chair. The referee ended it by disqualification. Shane McMahon comes out again, restarts the match again as a no disqualification Falls Count Anywhere match. And then the faces won. They all hit their finishers repeatedly. And that was it. They go out on top with the team of three, hands held high with Shane McMahon smiling. What do you think about that, Charlie?
I mean, it sets up that opportunity that we were kind of debating earlier. Could the co-champions actually happen? Is this a thing? Jericho and Owens won it as a handicap match. They won the U.S. title, so who knows? I'm excited to see. I'm interested in the storyline. I'm glad they put them in the main event scene because I believe they deserve to be there. So, personally, so.
Yeah, Garrett?
I just think this is going to get confusing once we get to the part where they win the title because, okay, great, they can defend it in a handicap match, but let's say one of them gets hurt.
It could
what
be kind
happens
of cool.
then? What happens then? I mean, do you say we can't have him defend the title because he doesn't have his co-champion, or he has to defend it by himself, which is obviously what they go for to continue the storyline, But, it's like now you're forced, okay, whoever it is, if it's not Zayn, people are going to be like, oh, okay, Owens is champion. All right. But if it was Zayn, yeah, maybe they'd be a lot more interested, but I think if anything goes awry, this could go really wrong really fast. And they don't have a backup because this has been the main event storyline. I don't think they have a backup for this. I would imagine they usually don't if they're throwing all their eggs in one basket,
Yeah, so with the match in particular, I hated the stop and start twice.
It was jarring at times.
It really just felt like it was dragging.
That's annoying.
You have the match, and then the match ends, and then it's restarted, and then it ends, and then it's restarted again. there's too much Shane McMahon for my liking. I don't think that Shane McMahon. I just don't agree with him being the focal point of the show, and that's obviously what it's supposed to be. So, in my opinion, I didn't like it. But something else of note is that Randy Orton was heard telling Styles he's coming after the title at Mania. I would enjoy it, but I know you guys aren't as big on Orton as I am. But
I don't know, man. It's just
I know everyone
so
watched
much more.
Shinsuke versus Styles at Mania, but if they didn't want to go that way, I'd be okay with Orton Styles, but who knows?
I mean, they'll produce a good match. When Randy wants to, he works better than most.
I mean, he had the world title match last year.
Yeah, and the moments where they were against each other, I felt like, okay, this is a big deal, just as much as it was when Nakamura was on the top of the ladder with AJ at the end of last year, or middle.
Well, I think that's why they did it. Or I think someone from SmackDown's going to end up winning the Royal Rumble. I don't think someone from Raw needs
2
it.
years in a row, though?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the ultimate.
Think about it, man. They got a
look
woman
underneath
and
the hat. It's the rabbit.
one now. So
Yeah.
It would be the ultimate switcheroo.
And plus, if they have like Nikki Bella come back and win it for the women, and that becomes a main storyline on Raw, I think you're fine.
think she'd return to Raw. Oh my god.
Do you think she would? Yeah, here's the thing. This would never happen. Do you think she could maybe take over where Paige is in Absolution, so they have someone to wrestle, or some other heel could? Like I just don't see it. I think you needed Paige for that role.
I think Absolution was.
They were doomed from the start, but if you have this money invested in the storyline now, which they do, and they have to have Absolution play a role in this Rumble, you need to have a third person because what if I was a brand new upstart from a brand new company? I don't think I'd have all the answers to how to win the Rumble.
They've already been beat up by Asuka, right?
Right. I'm just saying. You need somebody in that third spot. Otherwise, what is their purpose in this Rumble?
Agreed. So, grades for SmackDown based on what you heard, Charlie?
Based on what I heard, I mean, it seems kind of like there was some messery going afoot, to be clear. And, I mean, it sounds like an average so I'll give it an average grade, a C.
Garrett?
I'm going to go slightly higher than my last grade at a C+. I just feel like they need to do better. And until they do, like I said, I'm not going to give them a higher grade. So
I'm going to give it a D because the only thing that was advanced storyline-wise was that Mojo Rawley won. That's it.
True.
I saw that.
I mean, if you think back at the big storyline is what? Gable and Benjamin were screwed. Okay, we already knew that. Rizzo and Rusev Day are both mediocre teams. We knew that they've wanted to say that for a while.
The Bludgeon Brothers.
Shane McMahon hates Zayn and Owens. That's what we were told on SmackDown. What were you gonna say, Charlie?
I was gonna say I saw that Rusev and Aiden English entered the Royal Rumble.
Yep, Aiden English called it the Rusev Rumble.
Nice. What if Rusev won it, man? What are your thoughts on that?
That'd be nice.
I just want to end the show with a question to you guys.
Okay.
What would you do if Dolph Ziggler wins the Royal Rumble? Brady, we'll go to you first. How would you feel about that?
What show is he on?
SmackDown. Theoretically, it's set up Dolph Ziggler versus AJ Styles.
If you win the Rumble, that means you have to be in a long storyline. And I don't want to deal with 2 months of Dolph Ziggler saying I'm underappreciated and I told you so.
Fair enough.
That's all he can do.
Garrett?
I somewhat agree. I would say I'd be disappointed because they've spent all this energy crafting this fake aura that Ziggler feels like he's underappreciated in real life too. Because that would be the only reason they had him go on Edge and Christian's show, because they obviously could get anybody they want on that show because they know Edge and Christian and they still work for them every now and then,
Oh yeah.
So they still have that wouldn't be that hard. So, but it's kind of convoluted if you go about it that way, because that means you've invested all this time and all this storyline into something that you're just going to use for a couple of months, and then after Mania, when he has this match with Styles or whoever, it goes down as, oh, okay, Dolph won. Just like last year, Randy, oh, he won. Cool. It was good in the moment, and then later on it turned into nothing, you know? So I hope it's not like that again. And I know people disagree with me that storyline did build more. I don't agree that it did. I don't think Randy was the right choice. I don't think Dolph would be now. Yeah,
Would you be shocked if he won?
Absolutely shocked, yes. But would it be for a good reason? No, I don't think so.
If Big Cass returns, does he have a chance of winning?
Yes.
I think he's got a chance of making the big eliminations like Corbin did last year with Strowman, but I don't think he'll win.
True.
You think he could get Corbin and Strowman? Nah, not gonna happen.
The big elimination's John Cena.
I think Kane's winning the Rumble.
Can you imagine if they just had like Aiden English eliminate all 4 or 5 big guys at the same time? You have Show, Corbin, Strowman, Kane, Cass.
Hold on, guys. What happens if the winner of the Royal Rumble is Ty Dillinger?
He has to come in. Is he going to come in at 10 again?
Nuts, dude.
No, just a real shocker. Like comes in at like 21. You don't even really, he's kind of near the end ish. But like he's one of those ones that like all of a sudden it's the final 4 and you're like, oh my god, Dillinger's in it. It's like Dillinger, Cena, Nakamura, and Rusev.
Oof. That'd be cool, man. I'm down.
Absolutely.
Actually, that's all 4 SmackDown guys. Who's the favorite from Raw to win it? Strowman,
Finn
Balor.
Probably Balor. Yeah, I'd say Balor's got the strongest chance if the club get involved.
I mean, Cena's at both shows, so.
Yeah, Cena also has a very strong chance of winning whenever. Roman, yeah. Cena and Roman are pretty much they're always there.
We already can tell Miz is going to win the title at Raw 25 and Roman's going to win the Rumble.
It feels like it, man. It really does.
Anyway, the show's running a little long, so we're going to cut it there. So that'll do for this week's episode. I'll make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click that little bell so you know when we go live. Ding! And I'm going to go watch some replays of football and play some Fortnite.
I'm going to get on that Battlefront, brother.
Catch you guys next time. Peace.